Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast, aka the Pup List. We are a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news, along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 288. We're recording this on a Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. The Packers win in Nashville against the Titans in week 3, but we're back home in Lambeau with the Vikings visiting. This is a video episode, so if you're listening to this on podcast, head over to YouTube, search for Packer Universe Podcast, and you'll find us, and you can see our fancy mugs. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me, as always, is my co-host,
Ren. What up, Tay? How you doing? I see you're out at Lambeau again. You're not quite in the stadium today, but the sun's still out. I don't know how that's possible. You look good outside of the northeast end zone there at Lambeau, Tay. So how you doing on this Wednesday, the 25th?
I'm doing pretty good. The weather is really nice. Yeah, it is sunny. If you look above me here. Although in reality, Ren, it's becoming dark around 7. So I don't know. Some of these Sunday night football games, Monday night football games, will start to look in the dark, depending on where they are, of course. But yeah, things are getting darker. We're moving into fall, autumn, and winter. I don't know how y'all feel about that, although that brings us football season, which I think most of us love. But still riding high off of the win from the Packers that were down in Nashville kicking the Titans' butt. So this is this is a good feeling, especially with a backup quarterback in Malik Willis being able to bring the dubs home. So yeah, this is a victory episode for us, Ron. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty great today. I mean, we have the upcoming 126th border battle. So talk about things getting dark. We've got our old pal Aaron Jones returning to Northeast Wisconsin. A guy that we wish was still in the building. Beautiful piece he put out in the Players Tribune. I think it was today or yesterday. I don't know if you've read that whole thing. It is very in-depth, that letter to the fans in Green Bay, talking very in-depth about his time, the loss of his father, how much Green Bay impacted him. And he'll always basically carry the G. So not this weekend. So it was a really heartfelt thing, and I encourage anybody out there in the universe to go read. One of my favorite Packers of the last couple decades. If there was a jersey that I'd still wear, Aaron Jones is one of them. I'm not a jersey guy. Love the guy, and wish he was still here. So did you catch any of that yourself?
No, I did not. I did hear about it. I'll have to go look that up after this and give it a read, because even without reading it, it's got to be good. What Green Bay meant to him, what the fan base meant to him. And when it happened, when we let him go and when he signed with the Vikings, we were all like, are you kidding me? Super surprised. We didn't want it to happen. So the fact that he has an opportunity to come back here and play as the enemy is hard to swallow. I don't like it at all. I love him as a person. I will not like him in a purple uniform. And but that's just how it goes. That's how it rolls. If I had the soundboard right now, I'd play the reverse horn sound, because it's just sickening over the years, Ren, when you see former Packers come back into town and play as Vikings. We all hate it. And this is like almost a slap in the face, because it's Aaron Jones. We all loved him here. He was a fan favorite. And to see him go and to see him cross the border into Minnesota, that is brutal. And I don't know. I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget what happened to Aaron, because I don't want it to happen to any other fan favorite that's going to come through this Packers team. So I don't know what we can do about it as fans. Absolutely nothing. But we don't have to like it. That's for sure. Can you imagine? And I do want your answer on this. Can you imagine him on this team right now? Like, what does that look like? Does that look like third down back Aaron Jones, or is that like when Jacobs is tired or he's had too many, handoffs? Do you bring Aaron Jones in, or you always mix it up? Like, what does that look like to you if he was actually on this team still?
I think it looks great, dude. I think we're like salivating every week to see what the hammer Jacob brings with his consistency and the home run that Aaron Jones brings with his legs and that ability. I mean, it's you saw a little bit of that with Emmanuel Wilson coming into his own and is basically his second year with the Packers. Um, he's not Aaron Jones, but he draws another element and you're kind of seeing him coming to his own, like I was just saying.
Hmm.
But if Emmanuel Wilson is Aaron Jones, I mean, you look at all the options the Packers have on a week to week basis, and it doesn't matter if it's you know Jordan Love or Malik Willis and how they're able to utilize all that talent. I know you were a little hard on our guy, number 9, a couple weeks ago, but he led the team in receiving against Tennessee with 67 yards. And Romeo had, I think, just one for 18, and Tucker had a couple, and Jay Reed had a few for 54, and Emmanuel's big one for 35. They have multiple options everywhere. And you add Aaron Jones to that, Tay, with Brandon Jacobs,
Hmm.
I mean, we would be over the friggin' moon, Tay, because we still got our guy, and they got this other guy, and you're like, stop it, try. I think that's how we'd feel about it.
And I just want to bring it up quick. Like, when he left, we hated it. We didn't like it. We wish it didn't happen. But then we went out and drafted a running back in the draft, and we're like, okay, you bring in Jacobs to replace Aaron Jones. You have Emmanuel Wilson still, who you have kind of confidence in, and then you go draft a guy. So you're thinking, and then you have AJ Dillon. Don't want to forget the mayor of DC. He's coming back. So at the beginning of the season, we're like, oh yeah, we're fine. Like, we had this deletion here with Aaron Jones, but now you think you thought they kind of took care of that room, but now with Marshawn going on IR, and yeah, Emmanuel Wilson's been doing good in my opinion. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, but yeah, you just wish that Aaron Jones was here and just to complement everybody else, have that vet presence, that locker room presence,
Oh,
just that
huge
feel.
locker room presence,
Oh,
Tay. What a phenomenal team player, and even I mean, it is echoed in Minnesota. Like, he fumbled. It was either last week before, on a play, and he's apologizing for it. No, it wasn't a fumble. It was a penalty. Basically backed the sticks up. Would have been a touchdown. He ended up with 3. Told the coaches won't let it happen again. Mr. Accountability. Just a great teammate. And it's echoed everywhere, and that's who Aaron Jones is, and that's what he was taught as a kid. So we liked him, in Green Bay. The way his parents brought him up. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard not to Matt LaFleur this week laying flowers at his feet is one of the best guys he ever coached, and again echoing all those things that are those great compliments, those flowery adjectives for him. I mean, it's just what a great human being and a great football player, and that's what you ask for in teammates on a football team. Those are the guys that you want to go battle with each week, the guys that it means so much to, and 100% if they're out there, they're on the field with you, that you get a guy who is giving his best play to play, and
yep.
that's why you love Aaron Jones.
Well, we'll circle back to the the purple torment in a minute when we come back and talk about the Vikings more. But the Packers are 2-1 and 2 wins with Malik Willis, the backup quarterback. We just came off a win in Nashville against the Titans. Played a wonderful game. I mean, the defense was on fire. So we're riding high, and so we did a first takeaway right after that game. So if you missed all of our comments on the Titans or the Packers win against the Titans, go check that out. It's on YouTube. It's on our podcast feed. So we're not really going to touch on too much of that Titans game. We kind of did a pretty thorough analysis at the time. But unless you got anything else to say about the Titans, Ren, we'll kind of move on to some news and notes before we get to the Vikings.
Yeah, not a ton, Tay. I mean, again, Malik, the performance moving from his first performance against the Colts into week two, you saw him kind of the offense open up a little bit more with some jump balls, getting those balls down. I mean, uh, better passing performance. You have to
Yeah.
throw it at his feet. We didn't talk about the 70+ yards on the ground as well with that RPO stuff. But yeah, again, Crow eating multiple times here. Um, Happy to see it. You know, it's great to know moving forward that the Packers have a competent backup. You hope it's not something they have to utilize a whole lot, but you have to really appreciate that. It's not something they've had in a number of years. Even when Jordan was young, coming in spell for Aaron, he wasn't quite the guy he is today. So it's been a really long time that they had somebody. I mean, we look at the Brett Hundleys of the world. They had to bring back Matt Flynn at one point. They just, at one point you had, God, I forget the guy, and then you had to bring in Scott Tolzien because he was so bad. I mean, it's just been this revolving door of bad backup quarterback play.
Wallace? Was that the Wallace
Seneca
year?
Wallace, thank you. That was Seneca Wallace. He was terrible today. So
Terrible.
yeah, and nice pulling that one out of the back of your brain, wherever that you got that one from. But yeah, it's been a struggle bus with the backup quarterbacks in Green Bay. And now, hey, at least through next year, they've got one. I know the conjecture this week is, God, what can you trade them for in the offseason? Look at that. Like, whoa, like suddenly,
Yeah.
you gave up a bag of peanuts, which is, a seventh round pick for a guy. And yeah, he's turned out, and you just keep that guy as long as you can at an affordable rate, because he's presumably only going to be better if you need to spell Jordan here and there. And again, you hope you don't have to.
Does GM Ren keep Malik Willis around as long as possible?
Well, he's going to be under contract next year, Tay. I believe it'll be the fourth year. He was drafted after the first round, so he'll get five. But fourth year, so he'll be under control next year, I believe, as well. And you see how next year looks, and where he's at. If you offer him a extension at backup quarterback money, and he's willing to take it, or hey, based on some wins, somebody might give him a contract, but I don't think he's going to get blown out of the water with anything at this point.
So, but are you keeping him around? Like, if it's no monetary,
Oh, he's going to be my backup quarterback going into next year, 100%. It doesn't cost you much, and now he's really going to have your offense under his belt, and you feel confident with who you have back there. And shoot, man, you need one. You don't want it to be, a second year guy and Sean Clifford, or a first year guy Michael Pratt, who as Matt LaFleur said at the end of OTAs, is drinking out of a fire hose. You want to have somebody that's teachable, learnable. And I tell you what, when you listen to Malik speak over the last couple weeks, humble, says the right things. That's what you want to hear from your backup. Even going into Tennessee, he said, it was a revenge game. He's like, no, it's just like, I'm just blessed to be able to go out there and have another opportunity. And it's they paid me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity and time I had there. Those are all the right things. And some guys, sure, they let that kind of stuff sting them, and that's not the kind of stuff you want to motivate you. It should be for a different reason. And he certainly shows that he doesn't look at it from that lens. And you have to give that credibility, that kind of adult lens. And again, a lot of athletes have motivation from different pieces, but to have motivation from your own self perseverance is a completely different thing. And I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have him around as long as possible as the backup. I think it's way better than the situation we had, and there's no reason to stop using him or want him to be your backup when you just have to start over anyway with a rookie or someone from another practice squad. This is it's a no-brainer here. If someone comes knocking on our door, hey, what do you want from Malik? It has to be obviously greater than a 7th round pick. Maybe you do it, and maybe you go back to what you were with Clifford and Pratt and say like, okay, well, we were dealing with this anyway, but I don't see that happening. So I think Malik is here to stay. it's interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing kind of like how he develops once he goes back to QB2. Do we see him if the Packers ever do have a blowout game? Does he come in and he plays his style, or just to see him practice, like get some of the beat writers to kind of like give some analysis, or to kind of see what this guy's about, because um, I think it was pretty limited to what we saw in Tennessee. Um, and now you got 2 games as a Packer. Uh, Matt LaFleur has game planned wonderfully for him. But I don't really know, what this guy is yet. Is he an RPO master? Maybe. Like you said, his passing game has increased and got a lot better in the second week that he was starting. So I don't know. I don't know where he will land and how good he'll be, but for now, it's definitely something that we need to just roll with and have a good time with, and thank Brian for making that move, because obviously it's worked.
Thank the maker, Tay. And
Thanks the
listen,
maker.
I mean, as we're now in a 17-game season, soon to be an 18-game season, sometime over probably the course of the next 2 to 4 years. I mean, backup quarterbacks can become more and more important in the game of football, and you got to have one that you feel that, hey, in a given week or 2 or 3 week scenario, you can get a win or 2 or 3 under your belt, and that's huge.
Yeah. The injury report came out today, and a lot of people were Matt LaFleur started like by saying, okay, get your pens ready to start naming or writing down all these names. And it's kind of joked about that this was some laundry list, but it wasn't that bad. I think it's for maybe 11 or 12 people on there. The only one that didn't participate was Jordan Morgan. I just don't know where he's at, what's up with him. We're not going to see him for a while. But everyone else was limited participation. And then the big one, obviously, Jordan Love. And he was interviewed today in the locker room. Um, and he just kind of gave the same answers. He's taking it day by day, and he's got to be cleared, and he's doing everything possible. He's taking reps with the first team, and he's answering all the right questions. And he got a lot of them from the media, every kind of angle. Like, they just want more information. So they kept asking him in different ways. And so he did it. He played ball, and he answered them correctly, not giving too much away about anything. But that's where we've been the last 2 weeks. And over the last 2 weeks, when I've said this guy's not playing, this week I don't know for sure. This is in that target area of 3 weeks after he injured, so it's possible. I just don't want him to get injured even more. I understand he's going to have a brace on, but even then, like I'm willing to roll Malik Willis out if I'm the coach. If Jordan's not 100%, I'm not going to put him in harm's way. We're 2-1 for how this season started. I'm thanking my stars, and I'm making the correct conservative decision with my quarterback situation, especially when we just paid him. So that's kind of how I feel. I don't have, like, the last 2 weeks. I knew he's not playing. This week, not sure.
Tay, if you did see the live Wednesday work of Jordan a little bit, wasn't braced, light braces if he had one at all. I couldn't spy something under those black leggings, but
He'd
that
probably do
said,
one during game though. I bet
true,
you'd wear one.
true, maybe a light brace, but not the heavy stuff he was wearing last week. Looks a lot more mobile. I mean, a lot more mobile today. As of Saturday, it's going to be more than 3 weeks from that grade 1, grade 2 MCL. So as a 25-year-old, he's good to go today. A lot of gamesmanship this week. Hey, if you're going to make Brian Flores have to game plan for 2, good. They're spending more time, spending more effort, and that's what it is. It is gamesmanship. I know there are other people, Good Morning Football, etc. Like, the Packers aren't going to play him. Why'd you play him? Don't risk your franchise. I don't think it's a big deal at all this week from a re-injure this thing. I think he's ready to go. I think he's going to play. I think he's ready to play. I think he wants to play desperately. Listen, first NFC North matchup. This is, I think, one of the latest ones in a long time that you didn't see somebody in the first 3 weeks of the season, and then they don't see another one for another 6 to 8 weeks. So, pretty incredible in that regard. It's a big matchup today. This is a big one with the 3-0 Vikings. I don't see how Jordan has to play, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I mean, the only way he doesn't play is if he's not cleared, and there's a risk, some sort of risk. But yeah, I think they're doing the same things they did the last couple of weeks with the kind of like, hey, you good to go? Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm, day by day, kind of playing the game, and I think this is the week to do that. This is the week to try to misdirect with the quarterback starting situation because you have the Vikings 3-0 coming into town. This is a huge NFC North matchup. Uh, it's not a must win, but it's a man. It would be super nice because of how hot and on fire the Vikings are to get this one in the bag when they're coming to your house early in the season with potentially a somewhat injured quarterback. So yeah, and they came out of nowhere. No one thought the Vikings were going to be doing this. Had such a great start to the season. So to kind of like knock them back down would be just icing on the cake for the start of the season for us. That's what I want and hope. And yeah, playing the little game with the quarterback, I'm all for that now. Tennessee, Indianapolis, it's like, okay, whatever. Those games aren't as big as this one is. So yeah, do all the games you can, Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, you want to have the gamesmanship because this one means a lot. But you think about it this way, Tay. They lose, it's a 3-game swing essentially because they're 4-0. You're 2-2, and they got one against you. So it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big swing. And listen, I know the last time the Packers and the Vikings played each other, they owned Brian Flores and that defense. They whipped the Vikings' ass late in the season last year. So I'm sure Brian wants to, get some revenge on that thing. Tay. They do have some more playmakers. We're going to talk about them shortly on the defense they didn't have last year. And Brian's good at cooking up a good game plan himself. So we talk about Jeff Hafley and what he's been doing with some of his exotics. Flores is Mr. Remember we were talking about last year. I mean, he would send blitzes on a rate that is just out of this world. So, and they have some guys that are, way out in front of it when it comes to sacks and quarterback hits. So the Vikings, nobody expected them to be 3-0, but the reality is, Tay, this is probably the best team in the NFC at the moment.
I know it's weird to hear you say that, and I don't like it at all. But I think it's only because they're 3-0. I mean, and they've been playing decent ball too.
Slow that down, man. I mean, you're talking about points against the Vikings. I think they're the best in the NFL. Sure, week 1 they beat the Giants. You go, well, sure. I mean, who doesn't? Who won't? It is what it is. It's going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and it's going to be, and they are. That being the New York Giants. But the reigning NFC champs come to town, the Niners, and they take care of business against a really, really, as we know, well-coached football team, hell of a football team, and they win that game. And then, one of the AFC, special picks potentially go to the Super Bowl with tons of skill position guys. You're talking Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. They brought in the running back from Cincinnati and Joe Mixon. Got arguably one of the best young quarterback talents in the NFL, and CJ Stroud, and they kicked their ass today. They did. They had held CJ to, I don't know, like 280 and 2 interceptions. He was not good. Now this Vikings team is legit today at the moment. They're good. They're also talking about the number 1 passing offense in the NFC at the moment. Sam Darnold leads the NFL in touchdowns today. I mean,
8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His quarterback rating is 117.3. He's made 67.9% of his passes. So yeah, he's just come out and he's nailing it. And good for him. I'm happy that that guy is successful now, and maybe this just took the right place, the right coach and stuff. But yeah, good for them. Um, yeah, the Vikings basically routed two of their last three opponents. Uh, the Niners it wasn't a rout. I think it was 23-17. They won, but yeah, destroyed the Texans. Where'd that come from? So yeah, they seem legit right now, and that's why it's a little bit we all recognize this as a big game. Um, the Packers got into the top 10. I don't usually like power rankings run. I don't really believe in it. I don't buy into that, but they, they got put into like the top 10 of most people's lists for power rankings. And I think it's probably because they're ranked number 1 for rushing yards per game. Which is phenomenal. When's the last time that's ever happened? The Packers leading rushing, amazing. But that's probably why they're up there in the rankings. But when you look at the
Also,
passing game, it's like, well, there's nothing there to like be super afraid of. But it's just because they've won and they've dominated on the ground.
well, they also lead the league in turnovers today.
Yeah.
Plus the turnover differential, the Packers are the best in the league. So, what a difference coordinator makes year to year. And like we said, they already have equaled their output in interceptions with 3 games. Bringing in that massive free agent signing in Professor X, Xavier McKinney. These things have paid dividends already 3 weeks into the season. That's part of the reason you mentioned the running game. Yeah, the running game's been decent. Obviously, it wasn't amazing in Tennessee. I think Jacobs had some 40 yards. Emmanuel Wilson outrushed him with about 51 yards. So, and then you had another 78 on the ground as the aforementioned Malik Willis. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you add those together. It's a pretty nice day at the office, 180 yards or so of rushing. But a lot of that came on the legs and the RPO of Malik.
But the defense of the Vikings is going to be probably the talk of this week. I mean, they have what? They have 15 was it 15 sacks already. Um which ranks first. I think interceptions they rank second. And they're almost like they're top 5 defense right now. And that's scary when you have to potentially play your backup quarterback. So I love that they're coming into town here to maybe get a reality check, but we'll see. And we're gonna have to stick to a run game, wear them out, and hopefully Matt LaFleur can dig in his bag of tricks a little bit to misdirect and to take advantage of some of their mismatches.
Well, the Viking run D has been very good today. I will tell you that. The addition of Jonathan Greenard kind of flipped him out for Danielle Hunter. Those two guys went in different directions. One went to the Texans, that'd be in Danielle, and Jonathan Greenard came from the Texans. He had his little revenge game last week to Minnesota. He's got 4 sacks in the season. I think he had 2 or 3 against the Texans. So he ate. He was probably happy to do so. Andrew Van Ginkel, a Wisconsin boy, he's got 4 sacks on the season as well. He had 1 or 2 in that game as well. They were just basically lucky to have Dallas Turner, basically one of the best edge guys you could have in the entire draft, fall to them when they were able to draft him. So they've got this remade edge room where they were really thin last year, Tay, but suddenly they're getting after it. The remade backfield for the Vikings, Tay, which includes we made the joke and laughed quite a bit about it, and now still do so. I think they way overpaid for Stephon Gilmore, but Andrew Bynum been great. They're getting it done in the backfield. I will say one thing. When we were talking about how good the Packers have been, Packers do at this point, Tay, own the NFL's number 1 pass defense in the league per yards per game. So Packers have been successful with regard to that. But you've played the last 2 weeks. You've played the Anthony Richardsons and Will Levises of the world, who are not magicians with the football in their hands as far as passing down the field. Sure, Anthony Richardson's got a cannon just to hose on hose. He can throw a 70-yard ball in the air, but he's also, as we know, not very accurate, makes bad decisions with the football. I.e., so does Will Levis have a big arm, but not real great between the eyes there with regard to what's going on upstairs. So it'll be more interesting on a guy like you mentioned. Now he's in a better system with Kevin O'Connell. Great young head coach too. He's in that, you know, uh, uh, McVay, LaFleur, Shanahan kind of tree guy. He knows what he's doing. He's letting this guy cook inside the system with really good playmakers. I mean, obviously, the aforementioned Aaron Jones, we know he brings to the table. But hey, it's pretty nice to have Jay Jets as one of your guys who,
Mm-hmm.
he's had a touchdown in every game on the season. Jordan Addison's not been available. They're hoping he can maybe go Sunday. He has not gone this year, I believe. He's going to be kind of a game time decision. But Jalen, um, was it? Help me out. Is it Neighbor?
Naylor, Jalen
Naylor,
Naylor.
Jalen Naylor. Also, I believe a touchdown each one of the, at least
Mm-hmm.
one touchdown each of the first three games as well. So he's been great. I think Hawkinson is still not healthy, not able to play.
Right.
But this is a team that has plenty, and Sam Darnold's just cooked in that offense. One weakness with the Minnesota Vikings is that offensive line. Their interior offensive line is not very good. The tackles did get taken advantage of a little bit. That's a little bit more of a strength for them. But when we're talking about those exotics, when Halfley's lining up Enigbare, Van Ness, and Preston Smith on one side and Gary on the other. They call that their NASCAR package day. When they're doing that, and it's like, who are you going to block on that one side when they do it? And the other side, deal with Rashawn Gary. He's going to pick up two guys. And I know that Sam Darnold did have an MRI after the game on Sunday, and it came back negative, thankfully for them. And we want to, hey, listen, we don't want any of those Vikings to go down. I want to beat the full-fledged, full-core Vikings. You never root for injuries. But this is a place that the Packers can get after a little bit. We saw with those 8 sacks against Tennessee, they're ready. They're ready to go, and that's a place you can take advantage. And you got to blow them up inside with their new 4-3. Obviously, Devontae Wyatt's been playing out of his mind. Better scheme fit. We love that. He's getting more snaps over Slayton, and he should. He's earned it. That's the thing. Kenny Clark has not been as advertised. He signed that big extension. Does he work in this new wrinkle as well as he did in the other as a traditional, middle guy in that 3-4, your traditional tackle? I don't know. We'll see. But it's time for him to get back at it and eat some Vikes. And the Packer defensive backfield seems to be getting a little healthier this week. I know Valentine's practice today, and you mentioned that IR list. Everybody played but Morgan. I don't know why they did put him on the 4-week IR to return, because it's going to sound like going to be at least that. Does give them some cohesiveness on that line with regard to Ryan playing and them all playing together, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Guys getting used to each other. But in this game, yeah, it's really going to be kind of that matchup in the trenches between both teams that allows or disallows these offenses to get moving.
Yeah, as long as the Packers can be disciplined enough and be able to execute, this could be a chess match between head coaches and offensive defensive coordinators. So, if the Packers can, capitalize on the momentum and the confidence they've gained over the last 2 weeks, this should be fun. And you say it every week. If they make mistakes, they're in trouble. And I think this is again a week where if you start making mistakes, you're in trouble, and you need to take advantage of the opponent's mistakes. So hopefully we can get to Sam, shake him up a little bit, disrupt that whole offense they have going on. I think that is a big key to this game. Hopefully Professor X gets a 4th interception in a row in the 4th week. Would love to see that. But yeah, love to see that defensive line get after the quarterback a little more. That would be nice. We'll see about the quarterback situation. Obviously, if Jordan Love plays, it's going to be more of a passing game, maybe. Maybe they go down that route. But they have the running backs to get done whatever they want to do, whatever they want to draw up for the running game. They should be able to hold their own. So I'm looking forward to this kind of black and blue football game on Sunday. Should be nice weather here in Green Bay. Maybe a little too hot, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. This is gonna be a fun matchup early in the season, and with a lot on the line. So yeah, this is great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it is great. I mean, in addition, you're going to have that Jets Jair chirp game. It's going to be just a battle with those two. Who gets the best of that one? I know that Jair loves that matchup, wants to be, centered on him, and we're gonna see Jair bring it. Are you there, ready for the task? He has been in the most recent meeting, but we'll see who gets the best of that one too. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Well, let's do some predictions and then let's get out of here. This one's tough. This one's very tough. I kind of picked against the Packers a couple times this year, but I think they're going to pull it out. It's hard for me to say how many points will be scored if we don't know the quarterback situation, but the Vikings are pulling out. They scored 28 and then 23 and then 34. So they're scoring a lot. So I think that is going to happen too. I think we're going to see Packers win 28-25. 28-25. Packers win over the Vikings.
It's a big one, Tay. Do you know the spread?
I don't.
Take a stab at it.
I'm guessing it's 3 to the Packers. Just home team 3. 2.5.
There you go. They're getting 2.5.
2.5.
We don't know what the NFL does or doesn't know about Jordan, but they're saying this one's going to be tight regardless. This is a huge game today. It really, really is. I'm going to go with the Packers, but I'm going to say more like 24-18 Packers. It's going to be just, I think, down to the last 5 minutes of the game. We're going to not know who comes out the right side of this thing. And inevitably, I think the Packers home cooking gets it done.
Nice. Very well, Ren. Very well. Well, let's get out of here, Ren. Just before we go, though, as you notice, I have my hair cut. It's not very good because my hat pressed it down, the GB. But I'll be putting it out on our socials. I made a little video up of what I did last Saturday. I donated my hair to a nonprofit here in Appleton. They make hair products for people that have lost their hair to medical hair loss, to chemotherapy and that sort of thing. So I got my hair chopped off. I donated it. It felt really good. And so that's why I look like I do now. I kind of look like Ren a little bit. I got to put my head up a little bit more though.
Yeah, you gotta learn to wear that thing high.
I know.
That's how it works.
But yeah, look for that. I'll be posting that soon. Just taking me a little bit to put that together. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out. The nonprofit that does that is called Peaceful Purpose. So they were having an event, a fundraising event for themselves. And so I thought I'd take advantage of it. I had my hair grown for way too long, and it was way too hot. So I thought I'd chop it off and give it to a good cause. So that's that, Ren. So well,
maybe
thanks
it's
for
my
joining
turn,
me.
Tay. I'll get my blonde here going so I can get my claymaker on. You know what I mean?
Well, we're pretty close in hair length now. We could start now and have a contest.
We could.
So yeah. Right on.
Maybe that's something we'll have to bring to the table on the next episode and see what comes to fruition there, Tay.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining me, Ren. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening and subscribing and liking all of our stuff and watching our videos. We really appreciate that. Head over to our website, packeruniverse.com, and you can send us an email, suggestions, or any comments, info@packeruniverse.com. So Rock and roll, guys.
Absolutely, Tay. Until episode 289, Tay, on the pup list.